Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? So before we dive into the video, we'll start with a quick cycle of breathing in and breathing out just to set the vibes and set the mood for the video. So go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. It's really good to take a pulse check and check in with yourself, see how you're doing, see how you're feeling, what's on your mind. And I love doing quick cycles of breath work just to take a pause during the day. So thank you for participating in that. All right, so today I just wanted to expand a little bit more on the morning non-negotiables that I have in my life. And I feel like it's so important to orient your mornings around pouring into yourself before you start your day. The reason I say that is because it really does set the intention and the tone for the rest of the day. I've definitely noticed whenever I do something for myself before I turn around and talk to anybody or do anything in the morning, it really does put my mindset in the right space to tackle my day and to pour into others. And honestly, for additional context, I'm actually not even really a morning person. And what I mean by that is do not talk to me first thing in the morning. When I wake up, I need to pour into myself before I become social, before I engage with anybody else. It's just how I am. Whenever I have to be somewhere really early and I get into an Uber, I hate to say it, but I'm like, please, can we just ride in silence? I love it and I appreciate that you are wanting to chat, wanting to hear how I'm doing, what I'm up to. But if it's 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning, don't talk to me. But that's honestly just because I need to get through my self-care morning routine and my non-negotiables before I interact with people. And that's just how it works for me. So that's just a quick story time about why this is so important for me, at least. But in all honesty, it really is important to do things for you when you wake up first thing in the morning, because it allows you to prioritize your mental, your emotional, and your physical well-being before any external forces and external factors really can set in and start to take hold on you for the rest of the day. And by dedicating time for mindfulness, reflecting, gratitude, thinking about your personal goals, you create this stronger form of clarity, and it helps to reduce your stress throughout the day, because once you start the day thinking a certain way, you will align your actions with how you're thinking the rest of that day. So it really is important to align your actions with positive thoughts moving you towards the goals you want to achieve, the way you want to feel, because those are your core values, and that is what you need to be aligning towards. So starting the day a certain way will cause the rest of your day to unfold in that same manner. I also just generally think starting the day for yourself and being able to knock out something that benefits you, whether it's working out or journaling or meditating, that's something that you can check the box on and you already feel like you accomplished something major for the morning. And that will also help increase your overall focus and productivity throughout the rest of the day. So definitely recommend building out a routine that works for you. I know everywhere on social media you see that girl routines, and everyone's trying to fit in 1,000,001 things throughout their morning. But if that's not realistic for you, you don't need to feel like you need to do it. What you need to do is what works for you and what makes you feel good. So in my video today, you've seen examples of things that I like to do in my morning. That's because that works for me and it's what I like to do. You can take some, you can leave some behind, but if you feel inspired or inclined to do things a certain way because of the ways you see it on social media, make sure that it is because it is something you actually want to do and you enjoy doing, and that you have the capacity and time for it. Because you don't need to feel like you need to do 1,000,001 things in the morning in order to feel like you're accomplished or in order to set yourself up for success for the day. You just need to do what you need to do. So with that context out of the way, I am going to quickly dive into pointing out the important things that I did in my morning routine that I showed you guys in the earlier clips in this video, that I think are valuable and worth considering incorporating in your morning routine. Of course, take it or leave it, but I do feel like some of these things should be incorporated regularly because they benefit your overall health and well-being. So the first most important thing that you saw that I did in the earlier clips was hydrating early and often. I was sipping out of that big 40-ounce tumbler because I've gotten so used to it and so addicted to it. It is muscle memory for me. I put my tumbler full of cold water. For whatever reason, I do cold water. Don't judge me. I put it on my nightstand from the night before so that when I wake up first thing in the morning, I take sips out of the water as soon as I wake up. And then after I go through my quick hygiene routine, then I'll take some more sips of water, and then before I eat I make sure to drink even more water, because I want to make sure, one, that I am starting the day hydrated, but two, it's actually important to flush out your system, because overnight your body has been processing and trying to get rid of toxins and clear you out for the next morning. And so this just helps flush everything out. I feel like I'm starting the day with a clear slate if I drink a lot of water. So the second thing that I think was very valuable and worth considering for your morning routine is a practice of either meditating and or journaling. And this is important because it really does help put your mind in the right space to tackle the rest of your day. Starting the day with a clear mind and laser focus on what you want to get done and how you want to feel just overall programs your mind in a way that's going to operate and present you opportunities to feel that way. If you remember from a few videos ago, I was talking about the importance of storytelling in your mind and how our minds are automatically adapted to appreciate the art of storytelling. Then you'll understand why it is so important to start your morning visualizing, journaling about how you want to feel in the day, what you want to get done, because your mind will already start adapting and thinking that way, which will just help you take the right actions throughout the day, help you quickly assess and make decisions about doing something over something else or not doing something throughout the day because you want to align to your core values and what you were thinking about earlier in the day. So it's really important to set aside even just 5 minutes of sitting and being still with your thoughts, or writing those thoughts down in a journal. Or if that feels a little too much for you, you can start by reading a positive self-help book, and even that can just help reframe your mind. And starting the day reading something more positive and uplifting rather than scrolling through social media, worrying about what everybody else is doing, seeing the negative news, it's just going to start your day on a positive baseline to carry out through the rest of the day. So I think that it's really important to try to incorporate that, even if it's just for 5 minutes. You can work your way up, add an extra minute each time you feel like it's getting easier and easier, and it's a simple part of your morning routine until you are doing it for, say, 30 minutes. For me, I try to meditate for 5 minutes because right now that is what works for my mind, and I am newer to meditating, but I definitely want to build my way up to meditating for longer periods of time, and that is one of the things that I'll be working on in 2025, actually. So another thing that I did that I highly encourage you continue doing or incorporating in your morning routine is stretching. In the morning, we're usually pretty tight and stiff from being asleep and stationary for several hours overnight, that it's so important to move your body a little bit in light ways and just awakened and ready for the day. What I like to do, as you saw in the earlier clips, was that I like to do seated forward folds, and I'll do overhead stretches with my arms. I also like to do cat and cows, little movements like that just to wake up my body, get it moving a little bit. And I think that does really help, because then later on in the day, I feel a little bit more loose, a little bit more able to tackle my workouts. I feel just very active and very flexible by the end of the day. The last thing that I think is really important is starting your day with a very nutritious meal, as you saw me preparing in the last clip. I think that it's so important because most of us aren't even aware that breakfast doesn't mean you need to have this meal first thing in the morning as soon as you wake up. Breakfast actually means you're breaking your fast. So what's more important is what you're breaking your fast with, not necessarily the time that you're eating. Of course, if you need to eat first thing in the morning, by all means, do that. That's okay. If you can wait till 1 p.m. to have your first meal, that's okay too. What is important is what you are putting on that plate and in your body. And so when I have my first meal in the day, I like to make sure that I am hitting my protein goals. I like to make sure that it is a balanced meal, and ideally lower carb, because I don't like to spike my blood sugar and insulin levels first thing in the morning. So I'll make sure that it's protein heavy and it's healthy fats are mixed in. I'll also make sure that I have some sort of vegetables mixed in, or nuts that are healthy, and then a little bit of fruits or an apple, or maybe a small handful of sweet potatoes. But those are the kind of things that I'll eat in the morning to make sure that my plate looks colorful and that it's full of all the nutrients that I know that my body needs and likes to have, so that I am starting the day strong and it fuels me It keeps me energized, and I personally think it's so important to really consider what you are starting your day with relative to when you are starting your day. That goes for both the food you're eating and what you're doing in the morning. Your morning routine doesn't need to be at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. because everybody's doing it online. You just need to program your needs and your morning routine to what actually will benefit you. So with that, I will just quickly run through a few things that I didn't show in my clips, but that I also think are very important to incorporate in your morning routine. For the first thing, I try to get at least 10 minutes of walking in. Now that it's wintertime, I'm doing that on a walking pad indoors or on a treadmill in a gym. But if it's warmer outside, or if you live in a place with good weather, I would highly recommend getting out there as soon as you wake up and getting at least 10 minutes of steps in. It's a great way to start the morning. You get your fresh air in, you get the sunlight in, and you can clear your mind while you're on that walk. You can brain dump, you can reflect. It's a good way to habit stack by getting out and getting your steps in. Or, like I said, you can also do it on a walking pad or a treadmill. So that's one thing. The next thing that I'd like to point out that's important is what I just mentioned, brain dumps. I think it's so important to do brain dumps, especially in the morning. I don't know about y'all, but as soon as I wake up in the morning, my mind just automatically starts running on about the things I need to get done in the day. So I try to write all of that down as soon as I can. I'll grab my journal, or I will grab my notepad on my phone when I do get to my phone, and I'll start writing down the thoughts that I have. Usually they're thoughts about what I need to get done in the day, or thoughts about what I dreamt, or thoughts about how I'm feeling, if I'm feeling anxious about something that's going to happen that day, or if I'm stressing about a project. Then I'll just write that down, reflect on it, and move on. Getting things out of your head is the easiest way to declutter your mind. So that's a simple thing that you can incorporate in your morning routine. Maybe after you journal or during journaling, you're also doing a quick mind dump of different things that you thought of, or your to-dos, things like that. So that they're out of your mind and on paper, so you don't have to worry about remembering them. Another thing that's important and kind of related to figuring out what you need to prioritize and brain dumping everything on your mind is structuring your morning in a way that works for you. So what I mean by that is, I personally don't like working out when I don't have food in my system. So what I do is I'll wake up early, do my self-care things, and then I will log on to my 9 to 5. I will check emails. I'll run through my to-dos for the day. I will get done different tasks and things that may be easier to knock out. Or I will also use that focus time in the morning to do deep work. Maybe I have a project that I need to really focus on, think through, plan out. Maybe I need to sit and really strategize something. Then I will use my deep work hours in the morning, which is usually about an hour and a half. After waking up and doing my self-care routines and different things for me, then I'll do an hour and a half of deep work or task-oriented work for my 9 to 5. And then by 9 or so, I will eat a breakfast that I either meal prepped or I'll quickly whip up. And then I will eat that and I will get ready to go to the gym. So I will work out actually after having already accomplished a bunch of different things in my morning. Then I will go and get my workout in, because I feel my best whenever I'm working out around 10 a.m. in the morning. So that's what I've been doing for the last several months, and I actually really enjoy it because, to be honest, it kind of breaks up my day. I don't know. I feel like it's so different whenever I work for a little bit and then I work out and then I come back and work. It just feels like I broke up the work day, and then the work day ends so much faster. So that's been really good for me. I also, this is a random point, but I do really encourage, if you can, obviously we all have different work schedules and different work needs and responsibilities, but if you are able to, try changing up your routines. We all know it is so important to have routines and to stick to them, but it is also very important to change them up from time to time. Say you've been doing something a certain way for 6 months, pause and think about how that's working for you and see if maybe changing it up might work better for you. I used to work out first thing in the morning when I woke up because I thought I needed to get it out of the way. I know a lot of people that work out first thing in the morning. That's just what I need to do. And it felt great to knock that out first thing in the morning. But what I didn't love was how I was feeling while I was working out. So that was what prompted me to reconsider and think about where else in my day could I fit in my workout. And so I've found that structuring my mornings in this way has helped me feel better in my workouts, and then also knock out very big things for my 9 to 5 very early in the morning. So I highly recommend you do an audit of your overall morning plans and see what's working, what isn't, and make changes, especially with the new year coming around. All right, and the last thing that I think is important to talk about is all these self-care, skincare, shower routines, guys. Really do an audit of what you actually need to incorporate versus what you just feel like you need to incorporate because everyone's incorporating it. I keep my skincare routine very simple, very straight and sweet to the point. I do African black soap for cleansing. I use a very simple moisturizer. I use SPF. And at night, I put on alternating nights retinol, very light cream, or under eye cream. And that's about it. Like, I keep it very simple. I think at some point I might incorporate a serum, but that's just because I feel like that's the thing that is good to do as you're getting in your late 20s, early 30s. So I am starting to look into serums, but for now, that is my current skincare routine. I don't do a whole bunch of different products. I'm not trying out different things. I'm not switching it up. What works for me and has worked for me, I tend to stick with it. Keep it simple and keep it light. If I notice that my skin is plateauing or something, or maybe something might not be working anymore, then that prompts me to make changes. But overall, I try to keep it simple because that's just what makes sense to me. I also don't like doing routines and all that for long periods of time. I just like to knock that out and get to the meditating, the journaling, the walking and all that. That's what I prefer doing. So I am just urging you all as we are going into the new year to consider what parts of your routine are worth auditing and considering should be incorporating, what you shouldn't be incorporating, and think about what is actually benefiting you and your health. Because in 2025, we are working towards holistic health, feeling good, and living authentic lives. Living for you and not living for others is what we are worrying about. And starting with really doing a self-check-in and auditing all the things you are doing, all the things you have going on in your life will be a great step towards figuring out what is actually for you and what actually aligns with your core values. So I think I'll leave you all with that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.